Welcome to the 13th grade. One percenter concepts. I want to talk to you about the jobs that we decide to take and how that can impact our journey of becoming financially free or building generational wealth. All right, guys, thank you for coming back. And again, just another 1% concept here. Again, we're just going to put a couple of these different things here together, or we're going to talk about a couple of these different things, and then we're going to start to add up all of these things together. I can't talk to you about these concepts until we've gone through the course. And this is why oftentimes when you hear wealthy people potentially talk about things on social media, you could be like, you don't necessarily really get exactly what they're saying. And why most social media posts are just showing you a Ferrari because if you're not really going to get the concepts if you don't know the complete setup, how everything works. Anyway, so I want you to think about the jobs that you take and how that can have impact on your wealth building. And remember when we talked about investing for taxes? Okay. And remember how we talked about the cash flow quadrant of being employed, self-employed, business owner, and investor. And the idea there is we were trying to get as much money as we can possibly do into that investor pool, because if we can get as much income in there as quickly as possible, when we have enough in investments and those investments are enough cash flow and that cash flow can pay for our lifestyle, we can retire, we can go do whatever we want. And we know if we live a little bit uncomfortable now, so we can live comfortable later, we can supercharge that and maybe be done with that whole process depending on our burn rate for our based on our fine number and our burn rate that we might put it to that in 10 years. And so when you're choosing, and this kind of goes along the same thing with college and like return on investment for college, right? But when you're choosing a job, I really want you to think about those different. I want you to think about, and we'll put up here on the screen the cash flow quadrant, but it's, employee, self-employed, business, and then investor. If you go choose a job to be a teacher, for example, how do you move from teacher from the employed bucket to self-employed? You know what I mean? Like, I guess potentially there's probably a pathway there that you can go from, you're working as a teacher and then you start taking some side gigs at night as a 5 to 9, like you have a 9 to 5 as teacher, your 5 to 9 is, going to be potentially, I don't know, maybe you're tutoring kids or something like that. How you switch, maybe you get really good at that. How do you switch to like a business owner? Maybe eventually you hire people to tutor and then you just oversee the tutoring and you become like you run like my kids go to Huntington, which is like a tutoring session. Like maybe you do that. Like how does that work, right? Or like in your employment, okay. I want you to think about like salary versus commission. And you'll actually see this a lot online as well. People will say, if you choose a job that has a salary, like a teacher, you're only going to make whatever the salary is, right? If you have a job where you earn commission, let's say you're a car salesman, your income potential can be drastically different, right? So you can make nothing, but you can make a tremendous amount. And so I want you guys to really, really, really start to think about that. Like, are you the type of person that wants just like, no, I'm 9 to 5. I just want the stable income. Again, this kind of goes to like the Grant Cardone debt flow model versus, Dave Ramsey, right? So there's a Dave Ramsey types that are like, you know what? I just want to go to school. I want to get a decent job. I'm going to work my 9 to 5. I'm going to live frugal. I'm going to max out my 401 IRA, my retirement accounts, maybe I'll put a little bit extra away. I'm going to actually do that for 45 years. And that's their jam. They just want to do that method, right? But then there's the other people who are like, no, I want to work like 25 to 35, and then I want to travel like 3 to 4 months out of the year. I want a yacht, like they want a different lifestyle, right? And we know that you're not going to move from nothing to something, just working a 9 to 5 as a salary as a teacher and putting stuff into IRA, 401k. Most of the books that are out there, like I'll Teach You to Be Rich, Next Door Millionaire, all of them kind of say the exact same thing. buy a house, put money in a 401k IRA. That's it, right? So if you're a teacher and you're an employee, just understand that that could potentially be limiting because you can't really, you're just going to make your salary. And maybe you get a 5 to 9, but what are you going to get? A couple of students? Like it's limiting. Now, the difference to that, let's say I was a car dealer, like I work for a car dealership, right? Or no, I was a salesperson in a car dealership. I could work a 9 to 5, right? Or how that business works. I could work 4 days a week, 10-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts, right? And have the rest of the days off, using the rest of the days to do something completely different, a different field. But when I'm there, because I work on commission, if I'm really good at my job and I'm not just standing around and I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, I could end up making, you know, crazy 200, $300,000 a year selling cars. Don't believe me? I know the top salesperson for BMW. We connected. I think they're here. Maybe they might be in New York. I think they're here in Atlanta. I know they're here in Atlanta all the time. And they don't do any walk-ins. They only do things on appointment, and they actually just sell cars all over the United States. They just ship the cars to them because they developed a book of business, and the sky's the limit. And they're just killing it, killing it, killing it. And they're car salesmen. We need to get past this idea that like, oh, you're a car salesman. That's not as noble as a teacher. It doesn't really matter what your job is. Don't worry about the stereotypes of a job. Your whole point is how do I make the most money possible. So, what kind of job do you choose when you're an employee? I'll go through. If let's say if you're a plumber, for example, you go there, you get a 2 year degree or a 2 year like certificate, right, of trade school, and you got to do that because you want to be a certified plumber, or whatever. You make more money. If you're a plumber at your 9 to 5, it is very likely that you could set up like a little bit of Facebook Marketplace site or like a little bit of secondary site, register a LLC, and do side business from your 5 to 9, doing other plumbing work. It is then very, very realistic that if you're getting a lot of jobs, that you could actually, because you probably know people at this other plumbing company, you could say, "Hey, do you want to do some side work in the end?" And then you could add and you could build to that. You have the ability to both 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 very, very easily. And because that is a trade that you can do both on the weekends, great, great, great. If you chose to be an employee, let's say a nurse, for example, I had friends that were this. They were a nurse. Instead of just working 9 to 5, they worked three doubles and then they worked three doubles somewhere else. So they actually had like two full-time jobs and they were absolutely killing it. And when they worked those jobs, they worked like, I forget, it was like in the ER, which also got paid more. They would always work on the holidays and then they would work like the graveyard shifts, which even paid even more. So they were like completely crazy, like outside the norm, like working themselves to death, but they were absolutely killing it because they were basically putting in all this work because of the way that they structured their job because they could do 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours. That's 36. I think they did a little bit more. And then they could like take a day off and whatever. They could put all this extra time in. Because of their employment and the job that they took, it allowed them to do that. I also want you to think about your job in the sense that remember the tax brackets that we talked? So we're in real estate, right? And so I'm not an employee. I chose to be self-employed, right? So if you were to say, I want to be a real estate agent, you go, you take your classes, it's hard work, it's all commission, just like the auto salesman, right? But as a real estate agent, I can write off my car. I can then get into investing in real estate because I know investing in real estate is a way that I'm going to build generational wealth. To have my real estate license saves me a tremendous amount of money and I earn commission off all the jobs that I do. And so that makes a lot of sense. And oh, if I'm in doing some kind of real estate, I'm doing investing, it might make sense. Like I actually have the ability because it like maybe I could start a mortgage company or an insurance company or a title company. And then as I got real estate business, I could send it to different areas. Maybe you're like us, and you can both work with investors and then you can work a property management company. But because I am a real estate professional and I know there's huge, huge tax breaks for a real estate professional, it's more advantageous for me to choose something like real estate, even though it's harder because of the tax write-offs. If I was a car salesman, would I have the tax write-offs or would I have the large depreciation that I did over the last couple of years off property? No, I wouldn't. We qualified for that based on the fact that we are real estate professionals and we are in the real estate industry. And so strategically, it makes a lot of sense, like for us to choose real estate, because not only could we maybe go work for a company just while we get some experience, like we could work for a major builder, but then we could kind of go on our own. And then there's really the sky's the limit. We can make ultimate like commission, like crazy amounts, right? Because there's not necessarily really any cap, but then that business itself lends it to that we can actually expand into other under vehicles. And all of those have great opportunities to both find really great deals, to build wealth, and actually to use to build wealth and taxes. So again, we can't go through all the different examples of different, but I want you just to think about when you're choosing your career, how you choose to earn your money makes a great deal. Of the job that you're looking to go do you have the ability to expand beyond that job other than just what you're currently doing? Like if it's a 9 to 5, is it just the 9 to 5? If it is, can you do that 9 to 5 and then can you do something else later? If it is the 9 to 5 and you can expand it, great. But then could you potentially scale that into like an actual business instead of just like a self-employment? And of that job, is there any opportunity that if you did go to self-employment or you did go to business owner, that you could use? Does it offer some kind of tax benefits that allows you to keep more of the earned income? And so these are the things that make that really affect your ability to move from nothing to something in a very short period of time. Again, teacher has limited. Car salesman has upwards higher income potential. A real estate agent has upwards of higher income potential and can do, multiple things as far as taxes are concerned. So just think about those three examples and then try to apply it to your job. An accountant, maybe you could do accounting on the side. Can I open up a business? Maybe, but that's probably harder. Tax advantages? I mean, I could write off an office, not really, but that's a write-off. That's not really. Really think about it because it can be the difference between you reaching, say, $100 million and just reaching like a comfortable retirement. Until next time.